Hey all, this is Howie Ree from Duke University. I'm thrilled to be telling you about Duke Transform, which is an amazing event that we are really excited about. So the idea for Duke Transform is one, to have a transformative experience for Duke alumni founders and folks that help lead startups around the world. And two is to create an event that is so good that you want to come back every year. Um, and so just a little bit about the story for how this idea came to be and why we're doing it. So, I know many of you, but for those of you that I don't know, my personal career goal is to stay at Duke for the rest of my career and to help transform Duke into a more entrepreneurial place, hopefully one of the top ones in the world. And I've been at Duke at this point for 11 years. And I think of this as a multi-decade process. So that's the goal, is to transform Duke into a more entrepreneurial place. And the idea of a big alumni event on campus has been with us for a long time, even before I started at Duke. I remember talking with a couple people like Todd Creech about this idea. He's another Duke alum, back in 2004. And it's just kind of never been the right time to do it. Our hands have been really full over the last 11 years with doing things for students and faculty. And we've actually done a lot with alumni, but not focused on bringing them to campus, but actually doing things for alumni in the cities where they are. So we actually started Duke Gen, the Duke Global Entrepreneurship Network, in 2008. Reed Lewis, John Fjeld, and I met at Fuqua in April 2008. And the problem that we identified there was Reed had been a startup founder in the DC area for a number of years and hadn't really gotten a lot of Duke connections in the DC area, even though he was and is a Duke super fan. He comes down to Duke at least once a year, sometimes 2 or 3 times. And he said, why is that? Why is that, even though I've been in the DC area for, I think at that point it had been, 15 years, why don't we have a stronger sense of all the Duke alums in the area? And Josh Felser, a Duke alum in the San Francisco Bay Area, said almost the exact same thing. I've been in the Bay Area for, I think at that point he had been there for 15 years. I've started and sold companies. I'm doing investing. And the only folks that I know that are from Duke are either people that I knew before or people that I just kind of randomly connected with. So we've done a lot through Duke Gen to connect people. We've run about 300 events over the last 11 years, and we've had about 15,000 attendees at our various events. But those have mostly been in the cities where people live. And it's done a good job in terms of connecting people in those cities, connecting alums in those cities. So, this idea for a big event on campus, which is what Duke Transform is, it kind of was bouncing around. It was on the back burner. And actually just in the last probably year and a half, we've had 3 different people that have basically pitched an idea along these lines. And none of those were kind of getting momentum for various reasons until Chris Wolfington, who is the chair of the Duke Transform event. Chris Wolfington is a Fuqua alum based in Boston and an entrepreneur. He reached out and said, hey, we did this event at my undergrad alma mater, Denison University in Ohio, and we brought back, entrepreneurs to Denison. We had this fantastic event. I would love for us to figure out how to replicate this at Duke. And luckily for us, Chris had been a longtime volunteer and supporter of our efforts with Duke Gen over the last 10 or so years. I think he helped in Boston starting from 2009 or so. And Chris was really great at just telling us again and again, hey, like let's do this event, and you know, he was just the perfect person to catalyze this for us after kind of having not really done anything around it. So starting in 2018, maybe like November 2018, we put together a committee and started to say like, okay, let's put together some ideas here for this event, and ended up selecting a date, April 9th to 11th. Almost told everyone to come here on the wrong dates. April 9th to 11th, 2019. And have been kind of busily putting the pieces together in a very kind of entrepreneurial way, a very iterative style. And here are the results as of this moment. So it's March 2nd, 2019. We're about a month out from the event. So our cap for the event is 80 people. We're currently at 50 people, and we've had a lot of other people that have expressed interest. So I've no doubt that we're gonna hit 80 people, and it's gonna be here at the bullpen. We're very focused on this being a kind of a peer-driven event in terms of the content. So we have I think 15 to 20 Duke alumni that have offered to give transformative workshops, and we have 5 or so that have offered to kind of serve as board members, kind of mentors in various activities during the event. It's shaping up to be a really great event. We've also had a bunch of people that have offered to sponsor, which has been fantastic and super helpful, especially for our first year. And we've gotten so much email feedback and survey feedback. We surveyed about 50 of you, or surveyed more than 50, but got results from 50 of you that just said like, hey, I love the idea for this event. I can't wait to get back to campus. I'm really looking forward to networking with my peers, and I want to learn from others. I want to be engaged in this intellectual community. So things are shaping up to be great. I think it's going to be a really spectacular event and hopefully a transformative one. So let me tell you a little bit about what are the goals for that we're hoping that each of you commit to while you're here. So one is what is kind of your own massive transformative purpose. And that's some terminology that we're borrowing from Singularity University. Chris Wolfington identified that. 2 is based on that, what is a business goal that you're trying to accomplish this year? 3, what is a personal goal you're trying to accomplish this year? So we want to do some goal setting at a very high level and really get people to commit to doing this over the next 12 months, leading up to the Duke Transform Event 2020. So how do we do that? And how do we help you do that? And how do we kind of nurture that along? Well, so here's how the 3 days are going to look. So the first thing is that on the night of Tuesday, April 9th, we're going to have a couple exercises. One is going to be really focused on letting your guard down. We want to set the tone that this isn't your average event. This is not a industry conference. This is not a bunch of people in a hotel conference room, in some random city. This is a bunch of people that are willing to let their guard down, be authentic, be real with one another, and who are kind of intentionally being in community for this period of time. So let your guard down, and then massive transformative purpose, like starting to visualize kind of your goals. For some of you, you might already know this, and if you do already know this, then our thinking is that this is a great opportunity to share that with other people and to have a discussion around it. I mean, how many times in our lives are we able to talk about kind of our purpose in life with other people? But B is to start to workshop kind of concrete plans and concrete ideas for how are you going to get there? If it's whether that's a 1 year kind of goal, or a 5 year goal, or a 30-year goal, kind of what are the things that you would like to see done in order to get there. Day two starts in the morning with each of you is going to be paired with a talking partner. This is a concept that we are borrowing from Greg Kunkel. Greg is a Duke alum who is a co-founder of NextJump. NextJump is a New York City-based company, and they have a really amazing internal culture at NextJump, a very intentional culture. And I was lucky enough to go up there and participate in kind of a set of workshops there, kind of a transform event that Greg hosted. And talking partners is a core concept. Think of it as the kind of atomic unit of kind of relationships that are part of the transform event. So everybody's going to have a talking partner. You're going to be matched with one, and the goal is to get to know this person, share your goals with this person, and keep each other accountable kind of for this year as to like, hey, these are our goals and how's it going. The second concept is that each of the talking partners is going to be put together in teams, roughly about 10 people per team, so small group discussions. We're still working out some of those details. We're trying to identify what are the kind of the best groupings of teams. Right now, we're thinking that, if we have 10 people interested in blockchain, let's put them together. If we have 10 people doing two-sided marketplaces, let's put them together. If we have 10 people doing entrepreneurship through acquisition, let's put them together. I think that's probably how we're going to end up, but we're trying to just kind of navigate that and make sure that all hits. So Wednesday morning, you start by kind of meeting up with your talking partner, and then meeting in your teams, all about kind of talking about your goals and kind of visualizing and setting plans down for how you're going to hit your goals for the year. And then starting mid-morning to mid-afternoon, we have 3 different breakout sessions. And this is where so many of you have volunteered to give a transformative workshop. So we have, like I said, 15 to 20 of these workshops that folks have offered to give. We're going to do some signing up beforehand so that you all can learn about these different sessions and choose which ones you want to participate in. And the other thing is that we have this really interesting element right after lunch in the middle of all the breakout sessions, which is called In the Boardroom. So In the Boardroom is a chance for you to kind of work with somebody that is an experienced board member to talk about kind of any challenges that you're having, basically kind of an advice session, if you will. We've got some great folks that have signed up for that, including George Northup, who has been CEO of 5 companies that have been successfully acquired. David Cummings, who sold Pardot for $100 million and started the Atlanta Tech Village in the Atlanta area. And Mitch Muma, who is has been a venture capitalist for 30 years with Inner South Partners. And we just have been really lucky in just having a lot of people that have said, I'm willing to do this. And so I think that In the Boardroom style session is going to be great. In the early evening, we're going to have a team discussion where each of your teams kind of gets together, synthesizes kind of all the different breakout sessions and boardroom sessions you've gone to. And then the closing dinner, we're going to have Coach Cutcliffe come and speak. And, we're really asking him to go deeper than kind of just the external story that we all, hear and see about, Duke football, and talk a little bit more about some of the inner workings and deeper insights around kind of transforming the Duke football program over the last decade or so. Before I leave day 2, the Wednesday here, I do want to say that one thing we heard loud and clear in a lot of the surveys and also in kind of informal discussions we've had with you all is that you are one of the main reasons you're here is to meet other alumni and to spend time with other alumni. So we are really wanting you to have the time to have those connections. And so there's two things that are happening. One is that you can kind of opt out of any set of sessions, and in fact, for the In the Boardroom sessions, which is a 2-hour block from 1 to 3 p.m., we basically just call out and say, if you want to just be networking with folks at this time, we totally encourage that. The other thing is that, with these talking partners, with these team discussions, we are trying to, intentionally have time where you are talking with others, getting to know others. So I just wanted to call that out, that philosophically, we are kind of completely on board with the idea of you having plenty of time to network. The way that I think about this is like the opposite of kind of, a TED style event. This is not meant to be 10 different people, speaking at you for an hour each, and you're just kind of sitting there passively in your chair. Each of these workshops is meant to be hands-on, experiential, doing something, thinking about something actively. So that's kind of a core idea for us is how are we going to transform? We're going to transform by doing something. We're not going to transform by just sitting back and listening only to people speak. So just a little bit of a flavor there. So then moving on to day 3. So day 3 is an optional day, Thursday, April 11th. But we really hope that many of you will stay. So the morning we're going to do a breakfast where each of you is going to be paired with a student, and the goal for day 3 is transform this student's life. Partly it's kind of the same idea. It's like kind of a very real, authentic conversation, spending time together, getting to know what they're doing. And it's also kind of doing some sort of experience with that. This is still loosely defined right now. For many of you, you haven't been back to campus in a while. So, our thought is that each student can give you kind of a tour of campus to show a lot of the new things that have been built since many of you have been back to campus, including the campus center, which includes the completely redone West Union building, now known as the Broadhead Center, or the Wellness Center or Penn Pavilion. I mean, there's just so many beautiful spots on campus right now. There's the Rubenstein building, known as the Ruby, which is the arts building. So many things. I'm blanking on the many things, but if you followed kind of Duke in the news at all, you know that there's just a lot of great construction that has happened on campus. So that's the idea for day 3, and to put it all together here, kind of one, transform yourself, right? And the subparts there are, what's your what's your career transformational goal, and what is your personal transformation goal? But then the next thing is transform a Duke student's life, and maybe that can happen in one morning, maybe not, but hopefully this sets the relationship going so that you can continue to keep in touch for the year. And then the third thing that I'll mention, and we haven't yet figured out the mechanism that we're going to do this, is we have so many is to help transform Duke University and our group, Duke Innovation and Entrepreneurship. There are so many things happening in the world, and as many of you know, technology is progressing on an exponential curve, but a lot of human thinking is kind of on a linear curve, and there are a lot of changes that are coming to higher ed, and a lot of pressures coming to higher ed, whether it's the cost of higher ed, or how we teach, or how we connect students to what's next, or how we work with alumni. I mean, there's just so many opportunities. So I'm going to ask each of you to participate in helping us this year to think about that transformation, and with a bias towards kind of the nonlinear ideas, the nonlinear ideas that maybe seem unreasonable, but have a bigger potential for impact, as opposed to the linear ideas. Although those are important and good, and we should be doing both in parallel. So that's the fourth element here, is help transform Duke. Just a couple more things here I want to say. One is that philosophically, I want to just tell you about why is this event invite only. Why is it only 80 people? And what is the goal in terms of the target audience? So we've had various conversations in the last year and over the last 10 years about what kind of event would really make sense for alumni on campus. And on the spectrum of open to any alum to kind of invite only, we did choose to go here, and the reason is that within Duke Gen itself, which is a part of Duke INE, a lot of acronyms, sorry. We have 8,000 members in Duke Gen. So literally, if we just said, hey, 8,000 members, anybody want to come back to campus, come on and sign up. I think we would have, filled our kind of registration on day one and gotten a lot of great things. And I think that there's a lot of value in that. And I think we do want to get there. We do want to get to the idea of an open event. What we decided is that, we want to optimize the equation for transformation. And we want this to feel more like a meeting of people that are facing similar problems. And so really strongly biased towards founders and CEOs and kind of management team of startup companies in innovative spaces. And it's just a decision we made. The other thing is that our office area, which is called the Bullpen in downtown Durham, beautiful space. It's only been around for about 3.5 years now. We can kind of only host 80 people. So that was kind of a hard cap for us, and it was free to us, and we wanted to keep the event as lean as possible. And it's a beautiful space, actually. So we said, okay, comfortably we can fit 80 here, and we want it to be really high quality, kind of high quality peer-to-peer interaction. And that's kind of the design decision that we ended up with there. We'll see what the future years hold. I mean, I think there's always going to be something valuable specifically for kind of people that are at the similar, facing similar problems and similar roles. But just wanted to give you a little bit of insight as to why this event ended up being invite only and only 80 people. The other thing that I want to mention as a philosophical note is that we do have young alumni entrepreneurs that are going to be coming to the event. And we really want to help them be successful, right? So for many of you who are more experienced entrepreneurs, your career's done really well, and you're probably focused less on transforming from a perspective of I need to kind of have a signature win in my career. For a lot of our young alumni entrepreneurs, they're 1, 2, 3 years in on their ventures, and they're feeling. I'm sure that many of you remember, they're facing a lot of pressures, and part of our ethos for this event is we're trying to help our young alumni attendees as much as possible, to get as much value as possible and to transform their business. So like a very specific example is that one of our startups run by Kyle Muma, who's the son of Mitch. Kyle has a sports-related startup that launched with Duke football. And the idea of it is how can we do a better job of preparing our athletics, our student athletes, in terms of getting better prepared for their careers. That's the core idea. And a lot of his target market is other athletic departments at other universities. And so, in my mind, wouldn't it be great if Kyle walked out of the Duke Transform event with a lot of people offering connections to athletic departments that they know, whether maybe they went to a different school for undergrad other than Duke, or for grad school as well, or maybe they just live near another school or just happen to know somebody socially. That's an example for Kyle. Another example would be Suhani Jalota. Suhani has this amazing story. She's working with women in the slums of Mumbai, where she kind of worked in high school and also in her early years at Duke. And she started a nonprofit to help the women in those slums to defeat the stigma around menstruation. So the problem is that because menstruation is so stigmatized, women are harassed. Women are needing to take time away from work and school. Women don't have anyone to talk to about it. Women don't have the supplies that they need for it. So Suhani has worked over the last 4 years. I need to get my timing right. I think it's 4 years, 3 or 4 years, and been a part of a bunch of our programs as a student. And now she's an alum. And now she employs dozens of women in this slum in Mumbai, and they are generating hundreds, if not thousands, of products of feminine products every month, and they're selling them. But they're still working on kind of ironing out some of the kinks with the business model and how it all works. And so, wouldn't it be amazing if Duke Transform would be able to help Suhani to get connected to people that could help with operations or sales, or even raising capital. And so that's just kind of another example of a great transformational experience. And Suhani will be leading one of our workshops, and she'd be a great person for many of you to meet and sit with. So that's just kind of another ethos that we have, is that we really, really, really want to help transform the lives of our young alumni entrepreneurs, because that, I think we can have an outsized effect for them. And the last thing I'll say is that we have an amazing team, an amazing set of sponsors. I've mentioned Chris Wolfington, who has been really the champion behind this idea and has spent a ton of time talking with everybody that has offered content. So, I don't know, maybe 50 conversations at this point, and we've been doing weekly calls for several months now. Thank you, Chris, for bringing your energy and passion and positivity. Chris has been amazing to work with closely and to chair our event here. And then Reed Lewis, Greg Akanubi, Bill Warren, Monica Hirschbickler, Sarah Morrison, Andrea Yakinovich, probably many more that I'm forgetting. I always hate forgetting people here, but they have been fantastic. They've been our planning committee, putting things together. Brian Monkey, putting things together, making sure that everything makes sense. Colleen Smith, and it's just been a ton of work, and we've had kind of a shortened period of time to do this. So thank you to everybody for all the effort and all the work that you've put in. It's been an amazing committee. A lot of people. It's a very can-do attitude, right? How do we put together a really high-end event in a few months? And the last thing is the last part of this is the sponsors. So we've had a lot of you reach out to us and say, willing to sponsor this event. Bootstrap Advisors, Jay Mebin, Chris Cashin, Ben Feldman, you guys are awesome. Thank you. Glenn Bogosian, you've been so supportive over the years. George Northup, who I mentioned earlier. George has been, just such a positive spirit in our lives for a long time. Kathy Massey, Law Docs Express. Aaron Patzer, Aaron Patzer, Kirsten Castillo Hall, Rich West. So many people have offered to sponsor. It's hugely helpful. We've started with basically a budget of zero, frankly, and it's just it's amazing. It's made it possible for us to get a lot of young alumni to be able to attend this event. So thank you so much, sponsors. Thank you to everybody. Thank you to everyone that's attending. We really want this to be a 5 out of 5 star event, and more than just event. We want this to be a movement and something that is really going to have lasting impact in your lives, in these students' lives, and and for Duke University as well. So thank you so much. I think this is just the beginning. I can't wait to see so many of you. It's gonna be like a amazing, crazy homecoming family event. So many of you I've just known in different contexts, and bringing you all together is going to be absolutely amazing. Look forward to Duke Transform. Bye, everyone.